2022 in the area of service, and we really have made a good step forward in supporting complex service management, and also to provide a good alternative for service management for customers that were used to run their service management in CS. Right? So let me quickly move forward here. Right. So as usual, we have the usual disclaimer. I will talk a little bit about roadmap, right, and I'm looking forward what we have done. So please take in mind that some of the things that are forward-looking statement, but I will point them out precisely. Right. As for the agenda, we will give a quick introduction into the overall SAP service strategy. So what is the overall picture and where are we? Dive deeper into S/4HANA service, the S/4HANA component. Take a look what's new in the 22 release. I'll have time for a demo. I'll do like 20 minutes demo, 50 minutes demo. And then I will spend some time to talk about the considerations for ECC customers. So what ECC CS customers? So if you are a CS customer, what are possible migration strategies? What are upgrade strategies? Some things to keep in mind and help you, making your mind up. It's not a simple topic, but let's start looking into that. All right, let's go into it. The SAP service strategy. So this picture actually is a very nice presentation of the overall SAP service strategy. SAP is providing an end-to-end offering for service execution, spanning the front office, where we have the SAP Service Cloud, the service execution part that we do in SAP S/4HANA, and the field service, where we have the SAP Field Service component, right? And each three of these components or pillars have a really dedicated functionality and dedicated reason. In the Service Cloud, we do the front office, and you execute the front office, all interaction with customers, but this could also be used as kind of a mesh-up engine to coordinate some of the back office operations, right? If you need to stitch them together differently, this is also what we do in the Service Cloud. Field service management is really dedicated for your mobile field service team going out and doing the actual service execution. And in the center and core, we have the SAP S/4HANA service execution. That's SAP service execution in S/4HANA. I mean, if you look at what SAP has done and the history of service solutions that SAP has provided, you've seen that we have also looked into different options. So we have had SAP CRM, where we had a side-by-side solution to ECC for service execution, right? Also, we do have the Service Cloud and also service execution capabilities into the Service Cloud. These if you move service execution out of your ECC core, ERP core, that has some advantages, but also disadvantages, right? It may work well if you have fast-moving service, then yes, you can move that out in a side-by-side mode. But really, if you do more complex service, then you will see that service execution is highly integrated, right? So you have, if you do quoting during your service, you need good integration into your service products, into your financial information, into your pricing information. You need your contract, right? Contract is also something that is really requiring very strong integration into your billing and financial capabilities, which you typically have in an ERP world. Same is true for asset data, customer data. All that is typically in an ERP system. And if you do service and leverage that capabilities and that data, it's just much easier if you do that within the ERP system itself. And this is also the strategy that we're taking with S/4HANA service and going forward. And I think it's kind of a competitive advantage for SAP to be able to provide a service execution capabilities within ERP. It's just much simpler, no integration, tighter integration into all these back office processes. But I come to that later in a second. All right. That said, let's dive deeper into S/4HANA Service. Now, with the S/4HANA Service, we are supporting all core service processes. So customer service to field service, or the reactive service process. Ticket comes in, is processed, maybe quoted, and then sent out to a field service technician. The second topic, recurring service, where we have a service contract and a service plan, and you have recurring service visits, like annual inspection of an elevator. Also, this is supported here in the S/4HANA Service, and also the return to in-house repair process, where not the technician goes out to equipment, but rather the equipment is sent to your repair shop. So you need the returns logistics and is repaired there. We are offering two process variations for that. So one is the more classical product service, I call, right? That's more the straightforward service for fast-moving and more simpler service execution. We have this product or this option in on-premise, private cloud, and public cloud available. And we've shipped this since a few years, actually, and it's constantly evolving to cater more and more service requirements that we receive. Right? Since the S/4HANA release 22, we also are providing maintenance service in the current stage, supporting the reactive, also the proactive service. The return to in-house repair is something we have on the roadmap for 23. But this maintenance service is available, and specifically looking to support more complex service processes where you need more proper planning. Right? So that's a preview. So let's look at the two, and let's understand the differences between these two options. Let's start with the product service. Like a product service, as said, it's a very straight model, right, where we try to consolidate and make it simple for customers, which at the core really is the service order with the service order items. And actually, this one object is that one object that does it all, right? It's the object, the commercial object for commercial planning. It's the object for service planning, right? Also service confirmation. So in cloud, this object is also the object where confirmations go in, where reservations are happening, and where finally the billing is happening. So it's one object for the full service process, plus a service contract, plus a service quote to do service execution. Right? Nice, straightforward, clean model, all Fiori, and works well for straight service. Right. So this is what we have. Again, we've shipped that since a few years, and really you should take a look into that, because this is where we think, if possible, try to use that, which is just a clean and simple model here. Right. Still, there were customers that said this is just too simple. I said, yeah, well, we have let's build a bit more advanced and complex one. Well, if you look at service, actually, one of the challenges of service is there isn't really a one size fits all, right? So we have customers that do really fast moving service, several service done a day, right? And then we have customers that do enormous complex repair, where a service takes a month or weeks. Yeah? And then it's really hard to have the very same service process and same service object for both, right? So this is why we have this other model for the more complex one, for more complex customers. Now, how does that look? Again, we have the service contract that we have the new service contract. We have a service dedicated service quote, and again, we have the service order. So the commercial objects that we have here for the commercial service planner are the same in the other model, right? No change here. So this is what we would want to achieve, to have basically the same service planning and service commercial objects for the service manager, right? Service manager role here. But what we do have, we have different objects for the planner, the technician planner, and the technician itself for the execution. So what we have is we are using the maintenance order that you know from the maintenance work order that you know from installation from asset management. Right? So the PM01 order, we use that maintenance order for planning and execution of the service. Right? So light blue, left side is the commercial world, and this greenish blue, we have the planning and the execution. Right? That maintenance order can read task lists, so you can use task lists for planning your maintenance. And then we have the operations that you know, and also the spare parts procurement, the components that is also on the maintenance order. And also you will use standard confirmation, right? W41 confirmation to confirm your technician work that was done, right? So this is the technician planning and execution world, right? And then there's a third role, the financial analyst role and the billing clerk role. And for billing, right, we are now allowing resource-related billing, where actually you look into a cost-plus model. So if you look at the more product service that we've introduced earlier, this is more thinking a line of a service product, where you can model the service that you have as a product inspection service or repair service, and you have a price for that. In this world, you can actually also use resource-related approach. You can still use product price, you can still use fixed price, but you can also use a resource-related approach where you look at the costs, where you collect the costs of that service, and then add a surcharge, and this is what you bill. So we have resource-related billing using DIP. You create a DIP memo request and you do the invoice. Right? We also have some integration into the new financial capabilities of S4HANA, SAP S4HANA, and which, for example, will give you real-time revenue recognition. So at the time costs are confirmed, already the revenue is recognized in the system. All right, so these are basically the three roles and the separation of the three roles that we have in this maintenance service world. Right? If you compare it to CS, for the CS customers, ECC CS customers, you will likely recognize quite some things which are quite similar to what you have. So in CS, in the CS world, you also have, instead of the maintenance order, PM order, you have this CS order. These are really, both are work orders, very, very similar. There's hardly any difference between the two. And we are extending this maintenance order to make it look and feel and have the capabilities of the CS order as well. Right. Also, DIP, again, you can use DIP as you have used in CS. No change here. The only change that we have is we have new commercial objects. Now we have the commercial objects from S4HANA service contract, service quote, and service order instead of the SD objects, SD orders that we used in CS. Some of the differences here. All right, enough said. Let's go. We'll take a look into that in the system. All right, open up my system here. All right, here we go. So this is a 22 system. S4HANA 22, and yeah, I'm having many roles here, so I will explain where I start, what I will do, which role I'll take in. So you can follow my demo. Let's start to create a service order. I'm the service planner now. I get a call from a customer. Equipment is broken. Let's get there and create a service order. Right. First thing, as said, we have two options in the system to create. So it's first asking me which of the option I would want to see. So it's asking me, do you want to have a classical service order or that new maintenance service order? Well, I go for that new maintenance service order. All right, here we go. And that's basically now my new commercial object, right? My selling object for selling that service, right? It's and it looks like, you know, what you would expect from a service order. It has service description. Let's make a pump repair, right? It has requested start dates, external references. If you have a reference, you know, it will find a contract later. We'll come to that later. Categorization and status, right? Okay. First thing I get typically is the device that I have, the reference object. Right? I can enter product, a functional location, or an equipment. Customer gives me an equipment. Let's start with the equipment. Key in the equipment, and now system is looking for the equipment as we are in that ERP system and have all the equipment data there. It found the equipment. It also found that the equipment is owned by a customer and the equipment database. So this domestic US customer 1 was identified already. And now it's pulling for requesting some org data. So what is the service employee group? And we'll need that later to find the right team to do that. Let's pick that one as the service employee group. And also the contact person at the customer site. All right, that was this one here. All right, and still we need a bit more organizational data. So I also need the sales organization. That's that one here, right? So quick word to the organizational data. So we have the sales organization, where this is sold. We have the service execution, the service organization for service execution, right? And as said, we will do the execution in a maintenance order, right? And the maintenance order has a bit of the maintenance work order has a bit of a different org model. It has the org model of planning, plant, and work center, and we do the mapping from the service group and service organization to planning, plant, and work center, so that you can do that. And you see these two right away in the org setup. Reference objects also we have here. So we already have one reference object, that printer here, but I can add more, right? So there is, if required, we can add additional reference objects, multiple ones if you want, right? And then of course you would have the usual things, prices, price details, but let's skip that for now. All right, so we have the order, header data we have, and now let's enter my service product. Service product, I said, basically we have the products that we use here, and we can only use one type of product, these DINE products, classical DINE product, and we map each item. Let's go back to that slide. And we map each item, we map to one maintenance order, right? So we have the service order, we have the service order items, and for each item we will create one maintenance order. Right, here are the items, the quantity is 1, right? That will now be mapped. Let's enter that. Right, so the item itself already has a value. Right, okay, so what when I enter the item, what then kicks in is the contract assignment search. So the system found a number of contracts for the customer either, or also for the equipment. Contracts are basically would then be used, if I assign a contract, it would be used to pull pricing conditions, for example, from the contract, but also I could assign controlling of that service order to the contract, so that basically you have all the commercials on the contract and not on the service order. Right? This is what would happen, but let's not assign a contract for now. Let's keep it as separately with a price, status, and some other interesting fields. One is the DIP profile. As said, we can, with this model, with the service execution model, we can do resource-related billing using DIP. And for that, you need a DIP profile. And you can use your existing DIP profile that you already have if you are a CS customer. And finally, billing relevance. That's basically deciding how to do billing. And you have currently 4 options. Not relevant billing, meaning it's for free for the customer. You only collect costs. Billing on completion means that you will do fixed price billing, where basically what you have on the order will then be billed. And then there are two variations of resource-related billing. One is the summarized billing, where basically only main items will appear, or itemized billing, where you will even see sub-items on the invoice or the price definition, right? Let's start with itemized billing. All right, and let's already release that order and save, right? And now basically the order is saved, is created, saved. And right, and in the background we have a maintenance order created. Let's go to there. So again, this is the order, it's saved now. Here are the items. Here's this one item I created. Let's go into that item. Let's look at the item details. Okay, here we go. So yeah, I mean, it's the product again, nothing special here with price details, where you would have currently list prices are there, basically, where you could also define your markup percentage, or you could add any pricing conditions that you have, or any other system for managing pricing conditions can be pulled in. But let's look at that maintenance order. As said, at this version, when we create a maintenance order for execution. So this is actually the link to my execution object. So this was created already at the time I have released the order. Release, maintenance order is created. I have the ID of the maintenance order here. Right? I already have the status, so this is created. It's in created status. Material has been committed and pre-costed already, because what we've done is there was a service product. Here's the service product, and there's a mapping between service product and task lists. And from that service product and the equipment, we've identified a task list that order was populated with a task list already. And this is why we already have a planned cost. But let's go into that order. This is basically, from a commercial perspective, we're done, right? So we have that initial planning, and now we're changing heads, right? I'm leaving the role of the commercial planner, and now I'm working as the maintenance planner. Well, I'm now the technician with my equipment, right? I have that new order on the table, right? It's a PM01. It's a classical maintenance work order that we have extended, and some few extensions that we have for the 22 release. And most importantly, here's this billable flag. Right? So all PM orders now have the option of a billable flag. And if you click that billable flag, if you tick that, then you say, well, this PM order is actually in context with a service order. It's not a standalone maintenance order. It's a maintenance order which is used in the context of service. And if you click that, then you will see two additional fields. One is the sales data, because you need a sales data that actually came from the service order, and also the service product and service information. And here's the link back to my service order. Right? So these are the new fields. All the rest are standard fields. As said, we have the service product was mapped to a task list. Well, this information is pulled from the task list, and of course I can edit that. I can add a check, for example, a check step. Let's 2 hours check step. I think this is required for that device. So you can, as a planner, I would then now do and edit the task that I have. Same is true for the components. Well, you will add the components and manage the components, and you can procure the components. Anything that you're used to in your maintenance order and also in your CS order, you can do here as well, pretty much. But no change here. Right? We have that. We have the costs. We have everything that you have. Let's go back. Take a time. We have that order. I think it's good now. I will release it. And now, okay, material is done. All right, and then I'll save it, and off goes the work. All right, so I'm done as the maintenance planner, and now it's the service technician to do the job. Right, it's released, it's out. Service technician will go out, pick up the order in a whatever mobile system, field service management, do the work. And once the work is done, the service technician will come back and confirm that work. And for confirmation, let's change roles again. Let's go to IW41 for confirmation. Well, here we go. So now I'm the service technician. I want to confirm the work I've done. The order is just done. Let's see here, the order is the 366. Let's start with that order. Right, here is now the task, the list of tasks that we've done, and the new check. The new check step that I've introduced. And let's confirm the first one I've done with actually with the planned data. So 1 hour is okay, and that 5 hour is also okay. And let's save that. But that I have confirmed now. Okay, what you see happening is now it's calculating costs. It's sending back the cost that I've done with my work, but it's not only calculating cost. It is also doing a dip simulation. It's also calculating revenues. Let's look into that. So I'm done now with my job. I've confirmed it. Okay, and let's again go back to my order. So this is my service order here. Okay, this is an execution. All right, let's see. So we have released the order. Work has happened. Costs were created. Let's look into financial. Now again, changing head to a financial analyst. Right, and see what nice tools we have for financial analysts in S4. One nice tool is the line item margin analysis tool, right, where you can look into the fin booking and look into our journal to see, what type of booking have done. I can do the analysis based on various accounting documents or controlling documents. Let's have that with the service document, right? The service document is itself a controlling document. Let's look at what's happening here. Service document. Let's see what type of bookings or fin entries we have based on this service document. Right? This was our service document, the 1024. Right? What type of fin bookings do we have for this 1024? And we have some. Right? So first of all, they are all associated, of course, with our sales org that we've mentioned. Right? And if you go down, what we see first cost bookings. Right? We see 2 cost bookings coming from that confirmation. So these $30 costs was the first task, 1 hour, and then we see $150 for the other 5 hours. Now, these are cost bookings that we have, and these cost bookings are already associated with the customer and with the service product and with the service document. So we do all cost bookings already associated with the service document. And this is why we know it's part of service. As we know that already, right, we can do many more things. And so this is important to understand. Cost bookings are already attributed with the product, with the contract, with the service document, and with the customer for that data. But if we have that, we can already recognize revenue. This is what we also have in the system here. We have revenue. And actually we have $75 revenue, and this number comes from DIP. So we've called DIP at the time of confirmation. We've called DIP. DIP has calculated that these $30 cost will result in $75 revenue, right? And same is true for this 150 into $375 revenue. So this is the revenue that we will bill our customers. And as we have done the job already, we can already recognize that as revenue. This is what we call real-time revenue recognition. Let's take a look into, there's another tool for this event-based real-time revenue recognition for service documents. Again, use our service document. It's 24, right? And let's take a look what we have here. So it's basically pretty much taking the same numbers. It's pulling the numbers from the Universal Journal, and just more nicely displayed. So overall, we have recognized costs of 180. Right, so this is the cost from the confirmation. We have recognized revenue, that dip calculated, of 450, and this gives us a recognized margin of 270. Right, and this is already in the system at the time we do the confirmation. And so this is one of the new things and nice things we have in S4, that we can do real-time revenue recognition, even as the service order is still in process. All right, enough said for the demo. Let's go back to the slides and have a few concluding words here. Okay, so we have seen that model, right? We've seen the service order, the maintenance order, and the confirmation, and also we haven't done. We've done a little bit of dip for the real-time revenue recognition. Next step would be debit memo request and invoice generation, but this is as before. But let's rather spend a few seconds also to understand how the quoting will work, because we also have a new quote, and this quote also allows resource-related quoting. Right? So how would that look like? We have the quote. You will create a line item, for with a service product, right? Either you can do fixed price and just add the product, okay, or you say, no, I need to have a resource-related quote. So I need detailed planning. If you have this, then once releasing the quote, once you're creating the quote, you will create a maintenance order. During quoting, you will create a maintenance order. This will go to the maintenance planner. Maintenance planner will do all the operations and components, task list, and all the magic that maintenance planners do on that maintenance order, and then indicate that he's done with the planning. Once maintenance planner indicates that he's done with the planning information is sent back to the quote. So all the parts and the components and the time of the operations is sent back to the quote and then listed as sub items under that item, so that then the commercial planner can then say, well, with 20 hours plus these and these parts, this will be the price that I will put on that quote. Right? That quote will go to the customer, hopefully accepted and released. And once it's released and accepted, it will create a service order as a follow-up. And that service order will use the same maintenance order. So no change here. It will use the same maintenance order that has been planned before, so no double work, right? And that will then go into the execution as you have done, as you've seen before. Finally, the preventive maintenance scenario, which you also have with the 22 release, where you have a service contract and a maintenance plan. And now what we can do in this 22 releases, we not only create service order, but we create these maintenance of a service order and maintenance order, service order for the commercial part, maintenance order for the execution to do your execution. Okay, a few words to additional resources. So if you want to take a look into system and experience yourself, we have two best practices available. I have added the links here. So one best practice is the one for the corrective, and it's pretty much the scenario that I've showed you, plus the quoting, right? And one scenario for the preventive maintenance. And you can download these scenarios, and also there are test scripts which show you how you can walk through the system, and it gives you a good idea, what is possible and what we've shipped. There's also another recommendation for CS customers, right? So we've created a note that is showing some of the capabilities we have and some of the limitations that we have. So if you are a CS customer, then you would typically expect certain capabilities. Let's take a look into that note, certain capabilities. And what we wanted to show with that note is we want to give you a rough sketch. What of these capabilities that you may have been used in CS are available and which are not available in the 22 release. Again, it's the 22 release, right? So some of the things are available. So one of the things really that is important, we have this switch to activate this new maintenance service process. So the switch is actually something you need to do in order to come to that new process. Then we have the best practices here, and then we are pointing out to some of the limitations. So currently, for example, intercompany is not supported. We can't do configurable service products, down payment. We don't have credit checks, and there are some capabilities. In-house repair, we're still in processing. Advanced shipment is something we will do for the 23 release. So there are some things which we are still working on. It's just a heads up for you to see what is possible in the 22 release and when would be a time to go for a later release. Okay, back to the slides. So this link and this node is actually quite interesting to look into. So when we want to give as much transparency as possible for you to make a good choice. Roadmap. So a few words of the roadmap. And I've added the link to the Roadmap Explorer to make it simpler for you to have service. And basically everything that is then tagged with maintenance service, this is relating to that maintenance service process and to the roadmap there. And for the 23 release, we have 3 major things on the roadmap. One is in-house repair integration, so that we have also the logistics integration into that maintenance service process. Advanced shipment of spare parts, right, which is a specific capability that only the CS order has and the PM order not. And also configurable service products to be pushed down across the whole chain. Plus some other things we're currently working on. Now, just a heads up, what we are planning to do for 23 release. Okay, a few words, final words to CS, right? Because I guess some of you may actually be using ERP CS. First of all, CS, if you are using CS in ECC, there is still CS in S/4HANA. So this is still the very same capabilities of CS are in S/4HANA as well. And you can do a brownfield move, basically lift and shift from CS to S4, and it will continue to work. CS is part of in S4, it's part of the compatibility scope, meaning you can use it until 2030. So the usage rise was extended for CS until 2030. So this is the time you can actually use it. It's important information, and there's still a lot of confusion out there. What is happening with CS? Can I use CS? Yes, you can use CS in S4, and yes, you can use it until the end of 2030, at which time the usage right expires. And you should do a migration to new S/4HANA service. Now, what would that mean? If you have CS, right? So this is that process 1 that you have. Typically, you use SD objects for selling, the SD contract, the SD order, and SD quote, and to use the CS notification order and confirmation for the execution on technician world and for resource related billing. So this is the classical CS setup. If you compare that with here at the left side, we have this product service process. The first one I showed quickly, and we have shipped for years now. These are quite different, right? This was also the feedback that we got. If you move from CS to this simple product-based service, it's pretty much a greenfield implementation for service-related things. I mean, all master data is the same. That's good, but the service process itself will be new. That is still a good recommendation for many customers, and we have quite a number of customers that do that because the CS process was just too complex for them, and they want to simplify and get more straighter. And it's really a recommendation to look into that product service process, and a simple one, to see if it will help you. If not, right, you should consider that maintenance service process that I've just introduced with the PM order. And as said, what we are doing, we're kind of mixing the two worlds, best of two worlds. So we, in that maintenance service option I've introduced, we are taking the commercial objects from S/4HANA service, contract, quote, and the order, and the execution object from the PM world, order confirmation and DIP. And looking into migration for the execution part, there's actually very little to do. It's, moving from CS order to PM order with the extended one isn't a big deal. Also, confirmation is just the same. DIP is pretty much just also the same. So here on that technician side, there is, and on the maintenance planning side, there is not much change in that new world. We are adding capabilities, so we will leverage all the innovations that we'll have from the asset management side with the new Fiori apps. We'll also have leverage these over time. So this is why we actually moved to that PM world to benefit from the innovations here, right? But if you stay on that world, that's pretty straightforward, right? What has changed is the commercial side. You have that new order. That's more like straightforward, but also you have the new contract, right? And this is probably one of the bigger steps in that migration. You need to migrate the contracts from the SD contracts to the service contracts. So it's probably the biggest step in a migration from CS to maintenance service. Okay, a few final comments and recommendations, right? Again, we recommend you look into that straight service solution, into product service that we have. See if it helps you and if it's simplified. If you are CS customer and happy with your CS process, right, you should look into maintenance service 22. See if it helps you already. Look into that note where we described some of the things we can't do. If this is okay for you, and it should be okay already for many customers, just you can plan your migration. If not, you can look into the 23 release, which again will come a lot of additional capabilities where we think we can cover most of the CS customers. Yeah, this is basically true also for customers that have complex assets. Or say, they have, my assets are so complex, I can't really work with a straight, simple service solution. And also for the customers that do build maintenance, utilities customers very often that have the same team doing service and maintenance, and they need one solution for service and maintenance. And also these ones actually would be quite good off with maintenance service. All right, with that, actually, I would want to close my presentation and open up for Q&A.
Yes, we have some questions in the chat. Thank you, Oliver, for your presentation. Maybe you, myself, and Noboru go on camera and you unshare your screen so everyone sees us while we address the questions. It got dark here in my room. Wow. Right, let's get started. First one is from Ives. Can we also use the orders from the phase model? That question was pretty much in the beginning of your presentation.
Yeah, phase model, I guess you mean the 9-phase model from the Fiori apps. This is what we're currently evaluating. Some things will work out of the box, others won't, and we'll try to make that straight. But we're working on a full integration into the phase model.
All right, thank you. I hope that clarified the question. Francisco asked, product service, is the service order a controlling object? Is the item-based accounting available in OP 2022?
Yes, answer is no, not yet. So this is actually the thing that if you're on the simple straight product service, there we still have the, okay, depends really, right? If you are in the cloud, S/4HANA public cloud, then yes, product service is a controlling object. And the item-based controlling is available, but you're specifically addressing on-premise, right? If you are on-premise, then product service is still using internal order for controlling. And we are doing that change to item-based controlling with the 23 release.
Okay, so stay tuned. Will be coming up. Next question. How would a migration from CS to the maintenance service look like? Is a brownfield-like approach possible?
Yeah. Well, brownfield typically means you kind of lift and shift, right? This isn't really lift and shift. What you would do is, yes, first of all, you would do actually lift and shift of CS. I do have your CS process in S4. And then as pointed out, you have new order objects. So there are some changes in the selling of the service, but this is more like a process change, right? Actually, no data migration required here. Where we would see data migration is on the contracts, on the service contracts, and we are working here to come up with some concepts how that could be done. So there would be, several objects, several modes thinkable, right? If your contracts expire often, maybe you run your old contract until it expires, and then upon renewal, you create the new contract in maintenance service. If you have long-running contracts, then you may actually need to have a migration. But again, this is probably the biggest thing, and we are working on supporting that. It will not be a click on a button, although this will still be project work to do.
Perfect, thanks. Tobias just said that his question was answered, but maybe that helped if someone else listens to the recording and the question comes up for that person. Next question, can we ask the customer for down payment from his MCSO order?
Right, this is something also we have on the roadmap as one of the limitations we have in that note. This is what we hope to have in the 23 release.
Right, also coming up. The next question was asked during your demo for you to know where you can put it into the sequence of you presenting. How can we use this with a maintenance plan as a starting point?
Yeah, again, this was that pointed out in my later slide where we have that integration into maintenance plan, and we have new call objects that you can actually use maintenance service as one of the call objects in the maintenance plan.
Okay, then a question, generic one. Everything we're seeing here, that was also during the demo, is an SAP S/4HANA on-premises 2022.
Yes, that was an on-premise 22 system, also private cloud. Yes, in 22, correct.
Perfect, thank you. Then 2 questions by Ganesh. After PM order is QPCD, if component is added, is there a way to transfer the information to the maintenance quotation?
Yeah, so basically, completed. So QPC, if QPCD means quote planning completed.
Thanks.
Then, so basically, when you complete upon completion of your quote planning, right, then the components are transferred to the maintenance quotation. So you have then in the maintenance quotation, you will see the list of components. But once the quotation is completed, then right, it's already there. I'm not sure if you can do that multiple times.
Okay, Ganesh, thumbs up if that helped you out. If not, you can reach out to Oliver later on in the SAP community. I'll share the link to his SAP community profile. Another question here, is it possible to bring in the spare part, etc., to MSCO and not create PM order for these items?
Right. Yeah. Actually, so if you look at the maintenance service order, the MSO, then yes, we have only one item type. This is the maintenance item, and that maintenance item will create a PM order. So this is basically how the mechanics work. And then on that PM order, you do the spare parts planning, because we want to make it as close as possible to CS. If you want to do spare parts planning on the service order, right, you would use the straight, plain, simple product service order, the SRVO. The SRVO, the classic one, that has time planning and spare parts planning on the service order, and you don't need a PM order for that. So this is the other model that we have. And for that, if you want to do spare parts planning on the service order, use the service order.
Perfect. Thank you. And Ganesh just gave me a thumbs up that it answered his question before, and hopefully now the second question as well. So thank you for your questions, Ganesh. One more here by Kevin. Any plan for maintenance service in S/4HANA Cloud?
Yeah, good question. We are discussing that, of course, because it's a pretty powerful tool set. Right? You can do many things. However, currently, if you look at, as you can see, we have reused many of the existing ECC capabilities, the DIP, the maintenance planning capabilities, which are not really cloud ready. So we need to rework them. We are currently investigating if and how we can make that cloud ready. Currently, there are no concrete plans, but we have that in mind very much.
Okay, there's lots to come, so to say. Perfect. Yeah, that was the question so far in the chat. A lot was covered. Oliver, thank you so much for your time and your presentation. Maybe as we have 2 more minutes, is there like one key message that you'd like to hand over to the SAP community? What should they take with them from this call?
Right. So pretty much from my experience with talking to many customers, if you are CS, and I guess many of your customers are still running CS, right? I think what SAP is providing with S/4HANA Service, this is by far the best option that you can have as a next step for CS. So there are a lot of messages out there. Look at that maintenance service. See, it's a very simple step. You can reuse many of your assets. You can, it's a pretty relatively straightforward step. Look into that, and SAP will not let you down, right? If you have CS, and spread the word, right? We have 6,000 CS customers out there. Many have the same problem. If to meet them, spread the word that we have a nice replacement for CS in S4, and they should take a look at.
A very easy and handy way to spread the word is sharing the link to this recording.
Definitely,
that is available under the exact same link that you're joining us at the moment. 2 more questions by Ganesh, and I love how many abbreviations you use in your questions, Ganesh. So for fixed price billing, we need to use DP92 and use the billing type as on completion.
Yeah. All right, so for fixed price billing, we do not go via DP92. But we do you do direct billing, right?
Through the release for billing
billing
app.
Yeah, that's
okay.
exactly
He
how
already
you do it,
figured.
right?
Okay, that was his second double checking question. Cool. All right. Thank you, everyone who joined us today and who asked Oliver with your questions. Of course, the SAP community is the place to ask questions in general, and our experts in the community are eager to help out. But as I said, Oliver's profile link to his SAP community profile is shared in the chat, and you can reach out anytime. That's just what I now say. Okay. Thanks for the confirmation here. All right, perfect. Then, good. With that, I wish you all a wonderful rest of the day, and I hope to see you all soon in our next SAP community call. Thank you, Noboru and Oliver, for joining us today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Goodbye.